Welcome to Part 2 of the 5-part Intellius Item Writer Training webinar, The Anatomy of an Item and Bloom's Taxonomy. All multiple-choice items on Intellius exams have the same structure. The first part of the question is called the stem, and it should be written as a question. Great stems are constructed such that upon reading the stem, if you have mastered the content, you'll know the answer. Let's look at one. Which plant process uses energy from the sun to convert carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates and oxygen? You may have already figured out that the process described in this stem is called photosynthesis. This correct answer is called the key. The key is the correct response to the stem. Along with the key are 3 incorrect responses called distractors. Distractors must be selected thoughtfully so that they distract the test taker who has some knowledge but has not mastered the content. That way, only those with sufficient mastery should select the correct answer. In this example, the 3 distractors here are closely related to photosynthesis, so the terms will be familiar to someone who has a superficial understanding of the content, but only someone who has a clear understanding of the content will select the correct answer. More and more of our items include media, either still images or video, and we encourage you to include media in your items if you think it will enhance the content. Please just keep in mind the following. If you plan to use scans you have taken at work, it's a good idea to obtain permission from your employer prior to submitting items to us. Media should be original submissions, nothing that has been published in the past or that you plan to publish in the future. All media must be HIPAA compliant and free of any private patient information prior to submission to ARDMS or APCA. Mention images in the stem. CBCCT, CBCMR, and CBNC questions with associated media always start their stems with the text, refer to the exhibits. The brief reference to the existence of an image is important as it notifies the test taker that they should anticipate review of an image in order to correctly answer the question. Adding media can sometimes help to increase the cognitive level of the item, which can help us assess the candidate's higher level thinking abilities. Let me explain. You may have seen this pyramid before. It is called Bloom's Taxonomy. It is a classification system used for categorizing educational goals, structuring curriculum and learning objectives, as well as assessments. The categories or levels operate in increasing degrees of difficulty. So one level must be mastered before the next one can occur. Understanding and remembering are the lowest levels of taxonomy, where a learner is only expected to do basic things like recall facts, terms, and understand basic concepts. Applying and analyzing, the next 2 levels, are where you should be expected to use the knowledge acquired in the previous levels to solve problems in new situations. Evaluating and creating are the more advanced levels, where you might combine ideas, offer a critique or justification as to why you might choose one procedure over another. These are a bit harder to test in a multiple choice question. So we ask beginning item writers to focus on the first 4 levels of the pyramid. To help you begin to write higher level questions, consider using a verb chart like this one. Chances are, if you are using verbs in the applying and analyzing tier, such as apply, use, predict, or analyze, the cognitive level of your question will be in this range as well. Let's look at an example. To answer the question, what is the average gestation period of a spotted dolphin, the candidate would have to understand the term gestation and remember what length of time is correct. Understanding and remembering are the lowest levels of the taxonomy. However, to answer this question, which characteristic is associated with the amount of spotting seen on the dolphin in this image, the candidate would have to demonstrate that they can analyze the image and apply their existing knowledge to be able to answer the question. Analysis and application are in the middle of the cognitive pyramid. In building our examinations, we do need questions from all levels of the pyramid. Knowledge of some concepts, like basic anatomy, may be best assessed through a recall type question. But, as you can imagine, these are the easiest questions to write, and thus we have a lot of them. Once you feel more comfortable in your abilities as an item writer, we ask that you challenge yourself to write more complex questions. Focus on writing analysis and application questions that require candidates to apply what they have learned, predict outcomes or next steps, and use more complex thinking. You now know that our multiple choice questions must be written as complete sentences ending in a question mark. You will be writing the STEM as well as 4 answer options, 1 key plus 3 plausible distractors. We would like you to challenge yourself to write items that test for understanding, as well as interpretation and problem-solving skills. Use the STEM Starters, a 2-page document that we will provide you with once you have completed the training and are assigned to an item writing project. Basically, it's 2 pages of different suggestions for how to phrase the beginning of your stems. Use them, along with the Bloom's taxonomy verbs, to write higher-level questions. We also encourage you to get inspiration from your daily clinical practice. If you routinely gather cases for lectures or publications, consider putting some of those aside for item writing. Writing about a scan you took or a patient you saw will help to ensure that our test content is relevant and authentic. There are some more specific things that you will want to avoid when writing your items, but we'll get into that in the next module. If you keep the above rules in mind and don't forget to proofread, you'll be well on your way to submitting a quality item. This concludes part 2 of the webinar. Please continue to the next module.